Okay, turn it on.
All right, so we're going to do a little bit of speed building. We'll just repeat this, 160, 170, 180, and then back to 160. So just we'll go from here to here. And then back
4
to-
times.
4 times, yeah. The first page, just the first page. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So on the same page here,
So
Alan.
we'll start there and go there. All right, 4 times. All right, here we go. Ready? Do you wish to proceed?
Yes, may I, Your Honor? At this time, the government would recall to the stand Agent Walter Hekala.
For the record, government's exhibit 1, 2, and 3 have been marked for identification. Give us your true, correct name, please.
My name is Walter E. Hekala Jr. The spelling on the last name is Hekala.
Agent Hekala, I am going to ask the clerk at this time to place before you government's exhibits 1 and 2. Copies of these have been made available to the defense.
Do you wish to proceed?
Yes, may I, Your Honor? At this time, the government would recall to the stand Agent Walter Hekala.
For the record, government's exhibits 1, 2, and 3 have been marked for identification. Give us your true, correct name, please.
My name is Walter E. Hekala Jr. The spelling on the last name is Hekala.
Agent Hekala, I am going to ask the clerk at this time to place before you government's exhibits 1 and 2. Copies of these have been made available to the defense.
Do you wish to proceed?
Yes, may I, Your Honor? At this time, the government would recall to the stand Agent Walter Hekala.
For the record, government's exhibits 1, 2, and 3 have been marked for identification. Give us your true, correct name, please.
My name is Walter E. Hekala Jr. The spelling on the last name is Hekala.
Agent Hekala, I am going to ask the clerk at this time to place before you government's exhibits 1 and 2. Copies of these have been made available to the defense.
Do you wish to proceed?
Yes, may I, Your Honor? At this time, the government would recall to the stand Agent Walter Hekala.
For the record, government's exhibits 1, 2, and 3 have been marked for identification. Give us your true, correct name, please.
My name is Walter E. Hekala Jr. The spelling on the last name is Hekala.
Agent Hekala, I am going to ask the clerk at this time to place before you government's exhibits 1 and 2. Copies of these have been made available to the defense.
All right, so let's do our 160 for 5. So everybody talks on these next pages.
I think so.
All right, so plaintiff attorney is going to be Mr. Flam. Mr. FLAM, and Alma over there is Mr. Sherman, SHERMAN. And let's see, so you got Agent Hekala, HEKALA, and
Customs Declaration,
Boat Terminals,
Airport,
United States, Los Angeles Airport, declaration form,
San Isidro, spelled S-A-N, space Y-S-I-D-R-O,
Canada, Mexico, and territorial. Oh, is this phone still on? Thank you.
All right. Let me see who I am.
Sure.
Okay, I am plaintiff's attorney, Mr. Flam, F-L-A-M.
I am the witness.
I am the court.
I am for defense, Mr. Sherman, SHERMAN.
We're gonna start right here. Okay. All right, so this is 160 for voice on 525.
Okay. All right, starts with me. Ready? Agent Hakala, is that the exact same type of poster that is referred to in your declaration filed in opposition to the motion to suppress?
Yes, it is.
Now, Government's Exhibit 2, what is that, Agent Hakala?
That's a customs declaration.
You were testifying previously before this court as to a customs declaration form used by passengers entering the United States, typically at airport or boat terminals. Is that the type of declaration form you were referring to?
Yes, it is.
Now, is that form used at every point of entry into the United States at every border?
I will object, Your Honor, as being no foundation to possibly answer that question.
Foundation, please.
Agent Hakala, how long have you been with the United States Customs Service?
About 12 years.
During that period of time, have you been trained or have you received training in the actions of customs agents at borders?
Yes, I have.
Have you worked at various borders within the United States?
I have worked at Los Angeles Airport and then at the harbor facility here in Los Angeles.
Have you, in the course of your training, received training with respect to standard customs procedures at border entry points?
Yes, I have.
Has that training included both the border entry points that would be at a Los Angeles type airport as well as other type airports?
Yes, it has.
Has that border training been distinguished such that it is one type of training for Los Angeles and another type of training for other border point entries?
It is basically the same type of training for all ports throughout the United States.
Now, with regard to that training, have you been instructed as to whether or not at every single point of entry, border point of entry in the United States, Government's Exhibit 2, the Customs Declaration form is presented to each entering person?
Your Honor, I think my objection is how could he possibly know that at each instance it is given to every passenger unless he was physically there on each instance?
This is with respect to certain instructions given to the witness and other custom officers. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor. His training and instruction as to the procedures to be followed.
Which may be part from what is fact does happen. You may answer the question.
Would you repeat the question?
The question was, is that form based upon your training given to, or strike that, is that form to be given based upon your training to each and every person entering the United States at a point of entry, be it a port or airport of some facility?
No, it's not.
Could you give us examples of where it is not given?
Yes, I can.
Where would that be?
An example where it would not be given would be an individual driving across the border from Mexico at the port of San Ysidro. The individual would normally make an oral declaration only at that location.
Or what about entrants from Canada driving across the border?
The same thing would apply in most instances. An oral declaration only would be given, would be an option of the examining officer to provide the form to the passenger, be it by a car or by a train or a bus, to have them complete the written declaration.
Are there different practices employed for passengers entering the United States by air from Canada than for passengers who enter the United States by air from other foreign points of entry?
It varies from some of the locations that they would clear customs. At some locations, there are what is known as free clearance stations, which are outside the territorial United States in Canada. The U.S. Customs officers are at those locations in Canada and clear individuals entering the United States on a particular flight for customs purposes. On some of these pre-clearance flights, a customs written declaration is not always provided to them.
Thank you. I believe that's all, Your Honor.
Cross-examination, please.
Thank you. You have Exhibit 2 in front of you, do you not? That is the customs declaration form?
Yes, I do.
To your knowledge and based upon your training, that is a form that is given to every passenger who flies into the United States from a foreign country, isn't it?
No, that's not true.
When is that form normally given and to whom?
It's a customs option whether the written form is required. As I explained, on certain pre-clearance flights, a verbal declaration only is given unless the examining customs officer asks the entering passenger to complete the written declaration. Go over.
Bottom of page 16.
Bottom of page 16.
Yeah.
All right, so same people, moving a little along in the transcript. Let's see, I see Mr. Barkemeyer, or Berkemeyer, B-E-R-K, oh, the bottom.
Done, yeah.
Strike that. Agent Tundo, T-U-N-D-O, United States Customs, LAX, and
Pan American,
right shoulder,
Pan Am, A-M, Pan Am,
jetway, declaration form, and passengers.
it's capital P-A-N space capital A-M for Pan American. All right, when we start?
Yep.
Okay, so I am plaintiff's attorney. This is a 140. Mr. Flam, F-L-A-M.
I am the witness.
I am the court.
I am for defense, Mr. Sherman, S-H-E-R-M-A-N.
All right, here we go. We're at 140.
Starts with me. Ready? Good afternoon, Agent Tundo. Were you employed by the United States Customs Service on August 1, 1981?
Yes, sir.
On that date, were you on official duty as an employee of the United States Customs Service?
Yes, sir.
Where were you stationed at that time?
That day I was at gate 26B at LAX.
Was that gate adjacent to a flight about to depart the United States?
Yes, sir.
What airline?
Pan American.
On that date, how were you dressed?
In this uniform that I'm in right now.
You are in your official customs uniform?
Yes, sir.
At that time, were you wearing a badge as you are wearing today?
Yes, sir.
Where were you standing as the flight prepared to depart?
I was standing in the jetway just behind the passenger representatives from Pan Am.
In the sequence of events for a passenger preparing to depart, at what points at the entrance of the jetway would the passenger have to pass before he reached you?
Before he gets to me, he would have to go check in with the passenger agents in the terminal itself, at the gate rather. Then he'll see the passenger reps who will collect his boarding pass at the gate itself, just adjacent to the jetway. Then he'll pass me.
At the point at which you were standing, can you recall the approximate time?
The approximate time was about 11:40, 11:45.
At that time, you were standing adjacent to the entrance to the jetway?
Yes, sir.
Was there anything posted near you or beside you?
Yes, on my right shoulder was this poster.
You are referring to Government's Exhibit 3?
Yes, sir.
Is that the poster that was posted immediately adjacent to your right shoulder?
Yes, sir.
Were you carrying anything in your hand or exhibiting anything on your person as you stood at the entrance to the jetway?
Yes, sir.
What were you carrying or exhibiting?
This declaration form right here?
You are referring to Government's Exhibit 1.
Yes, sir.
What is that form, Agent Tundo?
This is a currency declaration form.
Could you face the clerk and indicate to His Honor how you were holding the form and exhibiting it at the time you stood at the entrance to the jetway on August 1?
Yes, sir. Standing?
Yes. May the record reflect that the agent indicates he was holding Government's Exhibit 1 in front of his chest above his belt line, Your Honor.
It will be so indicated.
Agent Tundo, at that time, with regard to the flight, had you been instructed by any of your other fellow agents to make inquiries of passengers in general or of any specific passengers preparing to depart on the flight?
Yes, sir. Both.
What instructions had you received with respect to the Pan Am flight you were standing by?
Ask as many people as I could get if they were taking more than $5,000 out of the United States.
Had you done this type of duty before?
Yes, sir. Many times.
On August 1, 1981, were you in fact positioned so that you could make that inquiry to passengers about to enter the jetway?
Yes, sir.
What was your statement to passengers as you recall it as they approached the entrance to the jetway on that date?
I asked them, are you taking more than $5,000 out of the United States?
At that time, you were exhibiting Government's Exhibit 1.
Correct?
Now, had you received specific instructions from another agent or agents to make a particular inquiry of Mr. Burkmeyer?
That's right, yes.
Who had given you that instruction?
Agent Hikala.
What had the agent told you to do?
He asked me to look out for a particular man and make sure that I would ask him. He gave me the description of him.
Did he tell you to ask him any questions in addition to those you were instructed to ask all other passengers to whom you directed the inquiry?
No, sir.
Did you in fact ask him the exact...
Excuse me, that is leading and suggestive. It sounds like it is going to be anyhow.
Restate the question.
So you do need him. Let me give you that